Is it water? Hi, everybody. It's Nancy at For Your Canine.
And Joanne with For Better For Worse.
And Lisa Bataska with Canine Defined.
Welcome. Tonight's topic is kind of a fun one, a very challenging one to do because our dogs are going to be pretty interested. We're going to be talking about dog toys. Um, I know sometimes it can get really confusing, like what to buy or what are some of the things you that are going to be long lasting. I'm pretty big on long lasting, so I try not to buy stuff that I know my dogs will destroy or whatever. So I want them to have them for a long time. So I'm very particular about what I buy. And now that I have a new puppy, keeping him entertained and busy is really important. So, hi Joyce. So I thought this was a nice topic right before the holidays. If you're thinking about getting toys, maybe a toy that you didn't think of. So we're gonna just talk about our experiences with them again, bearing in mind that um, the dogs are gonna like the toys that they like. So it's just a matter of trying different things or given that your history. So, soft, squishy toys sometimes aren't the best for dogs. And like I said, I have a new puppy, so trying to keep him entertained and busy is really challenging. But I think I got it down now since it's only been 5 years since I had a puppy, so now it's I kind of figured it out. So, and he's I was just telling Joanne and Lisa he's doing some growing, so he's sleeping a little more. So I have a little bit of more of a respite for now until he's done with that, and then he'll wake up and never go back to sleep. Anyway, so we wanted to just kind of go over what we use, what we enjoy, what we found last a long time. Like I said, I'm kind of big on um, quality instead of quantity. And also, it's also very dependent on the dogs and what they like. So that's really hard. Um, Puppies are fun, Joyce, but they're a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'm I'm getting too old. So but I am enjoying him very much. Like now I said, he's very good about sleeping more and all that, so that helps also. And it's going to be very challenging because our dogs see all the toys that we have by us and they think it's a social time. Anyway, um so I'm going to kind of kick it off. I know Joanne disagrees that this is a toy. I think it is because I usually stuff it and it keeps them busy. So I've been using it quite a lot. And this is actually the big. There's a bigger, bluer one. I think Lisa, you have that one.
This is a medium size, but they have a bigger one too,
Yep.
the giant one now.
Yeah.
And
This
if
is
you look, they have the rims, and you can take the small one and screw it into it. You can do things like put a bully stick in here through it and stuff like that. So,
right.
but I've done it for feeding my dogs as well.
Yep. Well, that's what I'm using the bigger one to feed the puppy his lunch. Even though he's raw fed, I do give him freeze dried for lunch, and so he eats it out of that. So it's great. I know, Cheryl. We're just talking about toys and sales and how awful it is that we know about those. But anyway, yeah, I did actually buy a couple more, so that I always have them on the ready. Um, and I have a lot of
Do we
these.
lose her? Oh, there she is.
Yep.
Okay.
No, we're not. It's not full of anything, honey. No.
So
So
hungry.
yeah, no, he wants the toy. He wants me to throw the toy, and it's like we're demonstrating, honey. We're demonstrating. Anyway, so so I'm good. I have a friend online. Her name is Annie Hammer from Ohio, and she was kind enough to let us. She does, and I haven't done it in a while since I've been I haven't had a chance to do that. So I'll show you. Oops, sorry. Hold on. I'm gonna stop sharing. Shh, Tango, stop.
I need it.
I know he wants. Oh my god, he's ridiculous. It's like, no, you're not getting that toy. Okay, sorry. Let me do it again now. All right, can everybody see that?
Oh God.
Wow.
Sure. So she does a whole big, I don't know how often she does it, but you could tell she has feral hounds, and she has yak chews, and she mixes up a bunch of cream cheese and all that, and she does Kongs, which I use Kongs quite a lot, the topples, and and stuffs them and freezes them for the dogs. So I used Kongs quite a lot, and the topples too. The slow feeder, incredibly, this particular lab is not a. I did use the slow feeders for my female lab, and still do because she's a fast eater. But this keeps them pretty busy and entertained for a little while. So I thought that was kind of a great picture. You could see all the stuff she puts it in, and then she just puts them in, and she freezes it, and it's ready to go all the time. Like I said, I have Kongs all the time in my freezer so that I can give it to the puppy whenever I need some downtime or to keep him a little bit more occupied. I use it for that. So.
Hi, Kim. Congratulations on your marriage. Her name changed. I was like, who is that? Oh, wait, I know.
Yeah, the wobble. Yeah, those are great. So I usually do those all the time to be able to to be able to keep him busy and occupado. And I think, and I have a client of mine that
Someone's moving.
The nightly moving of furniture.
Keep going.
all right. So here's another toy that one of my clients sent me. Actually, Sue Rose was the one that wanted to that recommended we do this topic because it was very timely and it just gave a lot of good information. So I will show another video she has, and I don't know, Lisa, if you use these, but she has. Let's see. No, I'm gonna have to do those screen things. Sorry. Okay.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So these are a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Don't leave unattended.
Yes, right, because you'll come back.
They will break them.
Yeah.
So, who did the Nina Addison, right, was the first one to kind of come out with the toys.
Puzzle toys, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, she's got a whole bunch of them. What did she partnered up with Outward Hound, I think. Now they're sold as like Outward Hound Nina Addison toys,
Right.
which are really neat. But I went to a Chicago Pet Expo years ago, and there was a booth there with a company called Trixie.
Oh yes, those are awesome.
The company's based out of Europe, and they were doing their own kind of toy, and they had a lot of drawers, slides, and things like that. So like these, you can see the Nina Addison ones, like you can pick things up. The dogs can remove those white bones and
The original Nina Addison ones were wood.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so these are a little bit easier to clean and keep and maintain.
Right.
And for those of you who raw feed, like I do, like in the topple, I put the freeze dried stuff, right? I do that so that way, he's still, he's, even though, or you can use kibble if for that particular thing. So you could use freeze dried too. So don't forget that for those of you who are raw feeders. So those
I'm
are
gonna break it.
Yeah, and they are pretty sturdy. But if you have a really smart dog like this dog is, one of the downsides is the fact that they go through those pretty quick. Really quick.
Or if you own a border collie, they just pick them up and drop them, and then all the food comes out of them.
So these are some ideas because Carmel is an energetic, busy little girl. So
Where you going with that? Put back in the pool.
Are they like eggs full of something, or what is?
they're like plastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got a little bit of water, as you can see. So
Okay.
yeah. So there's some those are some pretty cool ideas that she does to keep Carmel really entertained and busy. So I thought that was pretty cool.
It's interesting. So like we do a lot of things for our own toys. I'm sorry, for our own dogs. But the thing is that when we like during day school, the day school program we run, that like we'll do sometimes like if the weather's bad, we'll try to do stuff. So what we did, and I don't know if you guys you've heard of free work, right? Where you do different things in a room and see what the dogs choose. Kind of they have their own autonomy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we put that little toy with the that tipped over and stuff like that. It's all supervised because you don't know how the dogs are going to handle it. And then we did a pool and put kibble in it with just like the balls and stuff like that. And it was interesting to see how each of the dogs responded. We had a little Roddy pup who was like, I'm not jumping into that pool with balls. That's insane. And he loves food, but he wouldn't do it. But he was also probably going through a sensitive thing. But the other stuff was fine. And then getting up and walking around, checking out things and all that stuff. But it's stuff too. I think that if you get a chance to see other dogs, like if you have multiple dogs or whatever, they all work it differently. It's just fascinating to me. And so when we pulled Riff out to see what he did, he just ran full force and jumped into the pool. And I'm like, I don't know if I like that. He's tiny. I'm like, that's much. And my other dogs were fine, but just for a new puppy to do something like that, I'm like, oh, we'll have some impulse control work to be doing. So, but it is very interesting to see how all the dogs kind of troubleshoot it and how persistent they are, depending if it's food or not, or if they're hungry and stuff like that.
Actually, now that you mention it, very, very interesting with my own puppy. He's not super persistent on like the bully sticks. He'll chew them, but it takes a long time. It could be too that they're kind of hard for him in his teeth, so it might change as he gets more as it gets a little older. But he'll play with it for a while and then he's done. The only thing he's persistent on is a Kong. Like he'll keep on until he's done with that. But the bully stick, not so much. So it's interesting to see, like, he's like, I'll eat it, but it takes a long time. So I thought that was interesting, where my two Jive and Tango are like, they're persistent. They're going to stay on it till it's gone. They're not going to, they're going to chew it until it dies. And that's that. So the raw food in the topple and freeze it. Yeah. Cause I haven't done that yet, but I think I'm going to, cause I gave him freeze dried this last time. So.
Yeah,
Isn't that interesting? Right? I want to say it's like the problem solving piece. Like they're just, and again, my puppy, it could be that the teeth are bothering him and he's still teething or whatever, but I noticed he wasn't super persistent on some stuff. So I thought that was where, when I assessed him, he was not super persistent, because I didn't want that. but if he's not as persistent. But I guess it depends on what it is, right? That will have his persistence, right?
Lori talks about doing the raw food in the topple, and I thought that I've done that too, and I know people who have done that. But then I recently heard about being careful with giving your dog always frozen food, because it messes with their digestive or something. I don't know if you guys have heard any of that before. I heard that from a vet, one of my holistic vet locally here. So, I mean, I don't know the whole rationale behind it or why, but I think it's kind of like periodically it's fine, but consistently is another issue. So interesting.
And so the reason we're talking about toys and what to do, like a lot of the toys that we recommend are where they have to use their brain. They're just not taking the stuffing out of something, or they're just not, where they're just tearing stuff apart and that's it. You want them to have that's some enrichment and kind of have them, use a little bit of their, brain power on that. So just something to consider instead of just giving them a stuffed toy. So I'm not really big. My older Jive and Tango are good with stuffed toys, so I don't mind giving them to them because they'll take care of it. But mostly I like for them to work to work on some of the toys and think about what they're gonna and just kind of use that mental stimulation, right, on a rainy day or days that they can't get out or things like that. And now that winter's coming with snow and all that, I think it's pretty good, something to really think about to keep the dogs mentally stimulated, because that's what we do with the puppies, right? I give him a topple. He's got freeze dried. He'll bat it around and work on it until he eats it, and usually he takes a nap after that because he had to work to work for his food a little bit. So which is kind of a good thing, right? I like that. That's not a bad thing, right? So go ahead, Joanne.
Nothing. I was gonna say, unlike Buzz Killington over there, I do enjoy my dogs, right? Like not all the time, because I do have destructive dogs. They have sheer joy in ripping it to the tiniest pieces on the planet, right? And then I have to clean the floor afterwards because it's everywhere. It's like exploding toy. But I will say, watching them do that, like you can't keep. Well, maybe you could. I'm not going to keep that up all the time because it's expensive, right?
Oh yeah.
But I do allow them to just have their way with toys sometimes and just kill them. And for me, that's why I do buy the Bark Box. I don't know how many of you guys out there buy the Bark Box. But it's kind of cool because that's like sort of where my two toys come from. Sorry. So I get everybody barking. Sorry. So the cool part about Bark Box that I think if you don't do it is like you get a toy, right? And a lot of their toys, I know, not for you. A lot of their
That's
toys,
an upgrade.
like that's
That's an
mine.
upgrade.
A lot of their toys have crinkle stuff in it.
Yes.
And then, I know, it's not for you. And then they also have like a ball that's
Those are great. Yeah.
right inside of it. Do you want?
Yeah.
that?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. So once they rip it up, then the ball.
Yeah.
Then you have the ball that lasts for a really long time inside of that.
Yes, it does. And Joyce had a good idea. Like some of these toys, the puzzles and stuff, are great for dogs that are recovering from surgeries.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Like when they're restricted to crate rest and all that, it gives them some mental stimulation. So it's really great to be able to do some of that. But yeah, so Bark Box, I used to subscribe. I haven't because I tried to get the ones for heavy chewers, and those aren't so great.
No,
I didn't.
they're not. They're not as fun.
You
Bark
get some good ones, but most of all, it's like a giant chunk of plastic. You're chewing on this.
Yeah, Lori, the Bark Boxes are about, I don't know, between $25 and $30 per month.
Yeah,
and you
I
get a
buy
couple of
mine
toys.
annually, and I think they end up being like $27 a box or something like that. But
You save a little money.
you get two really good, pretty good quality toys, 2 bags of treats, and then like a chewy stick. So
Yeah, and so those are, and so I stopped using those because I was getting my dogs are very good with their toys. They don't destroy them.
Yeah.
So I had like so many toys. It was ridiculous. Ice Cube. Yeah. Some dogs are cheaper. And that's the point, right? Some dogs are cheaper dates than others. And I usually go for dogs treats or dogs toys that are a little more durable so they last a little longer. So I like these snake ones. I just got these and they really last a long, long time. It's got squeakers in it. So it's good. And then the outside is really strong and it works really, really well. So, so Tango, I
need that.
So these are great. I found that they last a very long time. So I really enjoy it. And it's good for my puppy as well as my adult dog. So that really, really is. That's always helpful because I hate to have to buy puppy toys and then end up buying adult toys. So yeah, this is one. These are great, and these were on sale actually on Amazon, by the way.
Hello.
Yeah, so I bought like 3 or 4 of them, and so they're really enjoying them, and it really takes a lot to destroy these. So the other one is Joanne. It's the one you have, Joanne, that. The Go Dog one, those are great.
Oh yeah.
Those.
So
I love those. Those are very hard to destroy, right?
They're a little fuzzy, a little hairy on them, and they have that was not this ball. He just got a different ball because I wasn't giving him any of the ones that we have. So yeah, there's a squeaker inside of it. But I feel like just because it's rounds, they don't. They can shred it, but a lot of times they don't. These last for.
Yep. My Jive and Tango have had theirs for a year, and they're still like in really good shape. And it's great for the lab. She likes to carry stuff around. So she's always got that in her mouth. So she loves that.
In my house, toys don't last long, so I have to be really careful what I bring in. And then they play with it, and then eventually it goes away. My little cattle dog, she just shreds everything. And then Ivy will go to put her to the back of her mouth to chew off pieces of legs and stuff like that. So I have to be careful. I bought this little, one of those the fuzzy haired things, the troll toys or whatever, and he had this crazy hair. I found that doll's hair everywhere in my house, and I didn't even know how it got there. I'm like, okay, this will go away until I can supervise.
Yeah.
And I think you have to be careful. All of my dogs in the past have liked to destroy things or kill the squeaker type of thing. And as much as I don't mind doing that, provided it's not consistent, right? I don't mind them shredding stuff, but it is a bit annoying at times. So,
and
you will rip that apart. I'm just saying.
Yep.
She's
Barb.
naughty.
That was for Barb.
And Joanne. So the other thing is, Lisa makes a good point. You have to be really careful, because Joanne had an experience with a squeaker. Tell us what that was.
He ate it.
And
A
how much was
fantastic
it?
pointy-eared one, right?
Yeah.
So you guys know Bam is just he fights death every day. So actually I fight his death because he just has no self-regard. So he had a toy, and he never ate toys. He's not a toy eater. And he's not even usually a toy shredder. And he was 11 months old, and I just noticed he was just sort of like not quite as energetic. And then he refused his food, which for that dog, like if you guys have ravenous dogs, right? He refused his food, and I was like, "What's up with you?" And then he puked up water, and I was like, "Get in the car, going to the vet." Hey, come here, bring that here. And I took him right to the vet, and we were at the emergency clinic, of course, because it was late. And they're like, well, we don't see anything on the x-ray. I'm like, I'm telling you, he ate something. And well, what could he have eaten? I'm like, I have no idea, but I'm telling you, he's obstructed. And well, if we do that surgery, it could be exploratory. We might not find anything. I'm like, I promise you'll find something. And sure enough, it was the little white pouch, no bigger than that a squeaker comes in. And she said it had been in there so like it really hadn't even been in there a long time at all, because there was no dead tissue or anything, right? And they're like, how did you know? I'm like, I know my dog, right? Mm-hmm. And so from that moment on, he has eaten things. So I am always very careful now, and I watch him like a hawk. And this goes back to kind of the resource guarding or the whatever, but he's one of those dogs that you're like, what do you have? And he's like, nothing. Like, so you have to be really careful if you see him chewing on something. But
yeah. And Joyce mentioned about doing the muffin tin with balls, which if you have a dog, that's a great idea. But I would have to very much supervise my pointy-eared one, because he would eat the tennis ball, which luckily for me, mine was not as expensive as Joanne's.
Lovely.
My lab was running around with half a tennis ball, and I'm like, I wonder where the other half is. And took him to the vet. Of course, it's an emergency visit. And the little pointy-eared one had eaten half that tennis ball, and they were like, well, we're gonna make all your dogs throw up. I go, I'm betting that the shepherd ate it, the male shepherd ate it. Sure enough, it was him. Luckily, it happened like in that moment, and it wasn't in there long because it was in that moment. And luckily he was able to, it came back up all the pieces. And so Joyce, Tango doesn't get tennis balls because he's ridiculous. So he gets them when we can supervise. So if we're going to do the 10 thing, so that goes back to that, right? If you guys are going to, if your dogs have certain tendencies of chewing squeakers or tennis balls or whatever, make sure you supervise those plays. Not that they should never have it, but if you're gonna give it to them, make sure they, that you supervise that particular game thing. And Alicia, I think it's just because Nazar's a chewer, because neither Chacha nor Tango were bad. Except Tango's the only one is the tennis balls. He's the one that It's
You know, a couple things about the time. Well, first of all, remember Fling, who ate everything, who was we renamed Fleece.
yeah.
She would eat anything fleece, any kind of. She just gulp it down. So, and she couldn't have tennis balls because she'd rip the cover off and chew it and stuff like that. So I stopped that. I actually like the Kong squeaker balls. They have the crackle balls and the squeaker balls.
Yeah.
And I like those because they're not like with the tennis balls, they can wear away at the teeth, grind down the teeth and stuff, depending on how frequently you give them. So I stopped doing that because I started noticing a difference in my dog's teeth. They would hold it and just chew. And so I was like, we're not doing that. So I switched over to Kong balls, to outside for the squeakers, and then inside the crackle balls, just because I don't like squeakers in the house. So got enough noise.
Tell me about it.
If you haven't seen, if you want a dog for like a puzzle that doesn't eat small things, have you ever seen the Haida puzzles? So this is Outward Hound again. It's the Haida squirrel puzzle. And inside there's a whole bunch of little squirrels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so they have different themes on them, but right. So you can kind of put them all in there. And then if your dog's interested, they'll pull them all out. It was a Christmas present. I haven't opened it yet. But you can see it's got, all the little squirrels inside of it, and they can pull them out. You can put them back in. And so sometimes that can actually suffice, that like destroy piece to it, where they can pull them all out, and then you can put them all back in. But it's not a toy you can just leave down, right? Because they do need that interactivity of take it out, put it in, take it out, put it in.
Right.
And another one that I'll show you, I found these. They're ridiculously expensive. I bought one in hopes of like, please don't tear it up. So it's super strong Velcro. And they're called Terribles.
Yes, I was going to bring those up.
Oh.
Yeah.
I got the
Where the
purple
pieces
one.
come off. Yeah.
Yep, it's a big one. So like the ears, the
Off.
arms, and the legs all have super thick Velcro in them, so the dogs can kind of hold the middle and rip, and they get that like ripping agent that comes out, and then you just put them all back together. So they have a couple of different ones.
How big are they?
This one's 14 inches, and the smaller mediums are 10 inches. So it's pretty. I mean, size of a teddy bear.
Okay.
I was just going to bring those up because I thought those are really cool. I've never taken the plunge because you can see they're a little more costly, right? So you're like, please don't destroy that.
Yeah. And they
but
did.
To go back to the puzzle toys where you have the little things. So I got one on Amazon. I got one that was a milk carton with the cookies, and we talked about it. It said 3 cookies inside. And so Ivy, she could stick her face in it and and she was trying to pull the thing out. Riff tried to put his head into it and got it stuck, his whole head. And then he was walking around with a milk carton on his head. So I was going to get a picture, but I felt bad for him because he was whining. So I had to pull his head out of it. So that's something else to think about, right? Be careful with the size of the heads fitting into things or whatever. But they had a little one with it. So then I got another one with an alien ship, and they had 3 little aliens. And of course, the antennas got chewed off by Ivy. So we can't have nice things around here.
Yeah, they do have a whole bunch of different options and sizes. Like this is the extra large one, I think.
Yeah.
So yes, they have like mediums and smalls and whatever works. Boredom busters.
So and I wanted to Sue Poor mentioned about chucket balls. So here's what I'm going to talk about about fetch and all that. One of the things about toys and is your dogs, is that interaction with you, right? It's you're coming to the game, you're playing with the dogs, right? So like you need to do a variety of those things, right? You can give, I give my puppy toys to entertain himself for a little while, but you also need to play games and play with toys where you are part of the game. So you are playing with the dog. It helps bond you with your dog. It helps the dog. It really, you can do a lot of training with that, which is what I like. So Sue Poor mentioned the chucket balls. I usually use, when I throw a ball, I don't just mindlessly throw the ball for my dogs. Right. I don't. I make them do we play together, right? You sit, you down, you spin, you come around, then I'll throw the ball. There's an interaction. We do have I am part of that game. I don't just throw the ball for the dogs, because Tango will just, if you mindlessly just throw the ball for him, that's not really a great interaction. It just tires the dog out. But it also, I like to use those opportunities, the ball throwing, as an opportunity to help the dog think with a little bit of impulse control, right? So I make them do a down, I make them do a sit, not every time, but every once in a while, ask them to do something and be part of that game and work with that. So I work on a lot of impulse control when I do throw balls to my dogs. I don't just mindlessly throw it, because then you're not really a part of the game. You're just the thrower, right? When it comes to those kind of things, I want to be present and part of that game. Where versus the puzzles, the dogs have to figure that out. You're not as big of a part of it. So I think you need to do both types of games with your dog, so that the dog isn't always playing by itself, and also you're also not just mindlessly throwing a ball, right? Because it's the be a thing, right?
The other aspect too of that too is with repetitive ball throwing, that's hard on the joints.
Yeah.
Right. And so I have dogs that love to play ball. And I don't play tons with them because I don't like, I get concerned about the over arousal and the not thinking. So I do make them do stuff. So playing ball with me isn't as fun as playing with my husband, who doesn't have as many rules. So they love to go outside with him. So I'm like, please make them do things. And then he stopped throwing the chuck it ball because then, or the ball, the Kong with the chuck it, because if it bounced, they would jump up high and I would cringe every time, because if they're not landing proper, right, they're coming straight down, and that's crazy insane. And it makes me want to scream every time. So he avoids that. So he does more ground balls, but even still with the ground balls, if they're really highly over aroused and they're chasing it, that stop, the braking, think of all that joint potential wear and tear, especially with repetition. So I get a little concerned about that. And I do the same thing. Like, if you want the ball, can you stand? Can you roll over? Okay, catch it. Right. So I'll do stuff like that with them. And then also tugging. Give me your toy. Let's play tug. I'm playing that line with Riff, right? I get on the floor with him and I'll hold him. I'll toss the toy. I'm like, ready, set, get it. And he goes running. He grabs it. He'll bring it back to me. He's like, oh, take it. Let's play. Let's fight. So we do that little fighting stuff in terms of that. And then I'm taking it and pausing a bit, waiting for him to offer something or stand still. And he's a little pushy about that. So we're working on it. Mm-hmm. But those are things too to consider. Yeah. I mean, if you have that interaction, that's another tool or reinforcement tool that you can utilize in training.
Right.
You have to do it in the context of just exercising or mental, you know what I mean? That's another tool, and it's perfectly appropriate to utilize.
And right now I'm working on a lot of retrieve with my puppy, right? Go get it, bring it back to me. He's really getting it. Like, he understands it's part of, we'll play. I'll roll it. He'll come back and bring it. And I'm teaching him how to bring things. I'll teaching him how to, so we get to play, and he's 11 weeks. So we're doing a lot of that, and he's getting it. And I see somebody made a flirt pole using flirt poles are great. But again, and want to be real careful that you're not, we're just whipping it, that you're actually doing some very thoughtful movement so the dogs don't get hurt. Because some dogs that just get so over aroused by a toy, it could be rough. But you want to be part of the game always. So you want to balance the amount of games that you do with the dogs. You want to have those interactive games, because those are great, keeps them busy. But you also want to be part of the fun too, because then it helps that they never know what you're going to do. And even if the dogs don't like, and even if your dogs don't like a lot of toys, so one of the things I taught my beagle how to retrieve with those toys that you can put food in. Mm-hmm. And so those are great.
Like the lotus balls, and then the other ones. Yeah, those are pretty cool too. I like those.
And those are, so even if you have a dog that's not super toy motivated, they don't have to be. Because my lab, I'm going to be honest with you, she likes toys. She doesn't love them. she'll play with them on occasion, but she she doesn't think, she'll play, but she's not gonna, like, my shepherd and my little lab puppy love toys. They really enjoy the toy part. She likes them, but not that much. So we'll play a little bit, but her jam is doing. That's why scent work is so great for her, right? She loves the food part, and that's one way of getting her mentally tired. And she likes these. So Cheryl sent me. This is one of the Nina Otzen toys here, that she sent for that she gives to her puppy. It slows down eating, and that's really and it's a nice big size. And this is it's a pretty decent toy, right? It's
Oh, that is a nice toy.
it is. It's got three levels.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of stuff that Jive enjoys, right? It slows down eating, but it also keeps him mentally pretty busy. So I like that. Those are pretty cool. And then the Lotus dog toy is where you can put food in it, like these, right? You can just open it up, put the food in, and the dog can chase it. So even if your dog's not super toy motivated, you can incorporate some of these type of toys to get them to engage with you and play. Or in this one, you can actually do this one on a flirt pole too, to get them to do a little bit of chase and all that. And again, you want to be real careful about the chase thing, because some dogs they can get overstimulated. They can get overstimulated, so you have to be careful.
We have to do more pauses, right? Too, to stop and do a brain check to say, "Hey, are you still functional?"
Right.
And I think a lot of times people don't. They just get them jazzed up to wear them out, and I'm like, no, don't do that. Ask them to do something, right? And then you start, ready, and I'm going to start to slowly move it. Can you maintain? And I've seen, we saw Margaret, right? Remember Margaret with her, the one terrier that she had a flirt pole working on a stay. It was a little Jack Russell. And it was really awesome to see it, because the dog was like, I really want it. And like, but I'm going to do what you asked me to do. And then you can move it around. But that's also impulse control, right? So games with impulse control stuff are super important. I think I love that part, because that to me makes it exciting for me, because I like to torture them a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and also to teach them at an early age. For me, impulse control is a big part of what I do, because even though my puppy at the moment has lots of really good impulse control, but the beagle not so much. So we're working on that. We are working on that. So Allison, those toys, no, they work for freeze dried, they work for just regular treats. So not only for kibble, but yeah, they have to be that kibble consistency. I mean, I guess you can put like peanut butter and stuff. You're just gonna have to wash them a lot, but you can just throw them in the washer and they clean up pretty nicely. So you can use gooey stuff if you want to as well. Like I said, I use those. My lab doesn't care, so she really enjoys those. She again enjoys retrieving, but she's the one that enjoys the food puzzles a lot more. So it's very interesting with her, with the different dogs. The other thing I wanted to mention, especially those of you, rehydrated meat. Yep, and you can do the freeze dried would be great. And then you just put it in there, and that's what I'm feeding my puppy with the topple. I just put the freeze dried in there, and he eats his lunch that way. So the other thing I wanted to just warn you about balls and your dog's size. So I have a Tango's, and I know Lisa has a little bit more of a situation there, because she has a really small dog, and then some big dogs. So you want to be, everything is not created equal, right? Like I can't have small Tango, leave that. I can't have really small balls in my house, because he could die, right? Even the regular size tennis balls are a little too small. So the balls for him are a lot bigger, right? So that he can, he likes these, he likes to tug, and they're big, so he can't swallow them. because I worry about that quite a bit because he tends to he likes balls, and then these are the other kinds he gets because
Those are the Kongs, right?
these are the Kong ones because they're bigger
Mhm.
and they're not they're bigger, and so that he can't choke on these because that's a concern, right?
Right.
Especially with the chuck it balls, like I can't use those.
Mhm.
Cause neither can Joanne. You couldn't either with Bam either, could you?
I do. Yeah, he's pretty.
I would worry. One of the things that Ivan Blumenoff said, it's like the dog's not going to try to swallow it, but it could accidentally get lodged in their throat because they're so big. So
Sure.
it's not because they're going to swallow it. It's just that it might get, depending on if you throw it wrong or it gets it can get lodged and they could die. So
Yeah, the Chuck-It makes the large size balls too, which are bigger
yes,
than
they
a ton.
do. Yes, they
So,
do. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's why.
good for you.
But you wouldn't have like I could never give him a regular chuck it ball, not Tango. He's too big.
Mhm.
I just couldn't risk it because all it takes is one weird throw and he's gonna choke on it. So I don't like that. So usually the balls are really big in my house, which means that even though my little dog is 12, she doesn't want to play with a little small ball anyway. But she likes the soft squishy stuff, which is fine. But like when I had my mid pin Lucy and Cha Cha, the balls Lucy liked the really small ones, and I just couldn't have them in my house because I was always worried Cha Cha would choke on it, so she never got to play with that. The other thing I enjoy that my dogs will enjoy is the Wubba. I don't know how many of you use these, but my dogs love it, and they last forever. I've had them for years, so they don't get too bad and they don't get too chewed up. I don't know. Do you guys use Wubbas?
Yeah, first dog ever to rip one up I have now. So no, not right now.
So, well, I
Roscoe.
play with Roscoe. Oh gosh.
Oh yeah, he's a shredder like no tomorrow.
Isn't that funny? It changes the whole like what you can bring into the house.
Oh, anything with a stitch, he's like, let me just keep that for a second. That's what I was trying to get from him. There was like a tiny piece of vet wrap left. He's like, I'm gonna take this and chew it up. I'm like, whatever. Happy Facebook Live to you. Whatever. I'm like, stop that right here.
Well, the puppy too, like he can't, and he'll try to pick up bigger balls and stuff. And I do have different sized balls, but I'm really aware of what my dogs get the bigger balls when they're outside to play and stuff. I don't have tons of little balls, but I do because Ivy likes them. She's smaller. Riff likes them. Pan likes them, and then Tenor and Cadence they get the bigger size balls, but they don't usually. I don't throw them, type of thing, and then they have the hole in them too. So that's the other thing. Like if you have a solid ball versus a ball with holes in it, in terms of some of that. So, but I'm careful. I watch them and. Usually they play with them for a little bit and then they walk away. But I don't do a tons of inside house play with throwing toys and stuff like that. My husband does, but we already know.
Play ball in the house. Is that what you're saying?
What's that?
You don't play ball in the house?
No, I don't. No, because I'm like inside is for relaxing and chilling and stuff like that. If you want to lay there and play with the toy or play with each other, tug, it's fine. But no, I'm not. I'm like no running around and jumping. It's not allowed. Go outside. We have a big enough here. Go outside.
Nice.
What do
we
you?
talked about the fur balls, Allison. So that was the Go Dog balls that we brought up earlier.
Yeah,
So
those are wonderful.
So what do you do in terms of toys for your dogs? I know your dogs, Joanne, they don't tear a lot of stuff up. Like for me, I'm not going to buy the fuzzy. I get really nice toys and I'm like, these are, and then I put them down and then the cattle dog is why we can't have nice things. So I pick them up and put them away. I'm like, forget that.
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
It's interesting. So let me show you this because I was just gonna. So for any of you who have Dobermans, this is like a genetic thing, right? It's specific to the breed. The only other breeds that I've known to really do it are golden retrievers. And anyway, with Dobermans, they either have nothing at all, or they will nurse like blankets and toys. Or they will actually go so far as to flank suck, and they actually suck their hair and it's gross. Like that's like the OCD version of it. So sweet little Bam, this is it's a bad video, but this is his sweeter side. So this is what he does. Pardon his toenails, but this is what he does, right? With big floofy toys. And he'll lay like that. You know, it's his wubba. And so, right, he just sits there and he, like, if you don't know, he'll have, I don't know, a good 6 to 8, somewhere between 6 to 10 inches in his mouth. Like at one time, he makes a giant pacifier out of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Remember, and you know who's Nancy Saya's Coco did that.
Yep.
Remember?
She was a Doberman. Yeah.
Yeah, Doberman
Okay.
as well.
So one of like his most favorite suckling toy, that's what I always call him, is like his wubbas or his passies or Bam's, you know, babies. The lamb chop toy, right? And he likes the big one. So this one is the jumbo, and it's 24 inches long, so 2 feet long. And these are, I mean, if you buy them just full price, they're like $20. Yeah, no. So I will wait until these goes. As we were prepping, I brought the giants. Like I have a bag of them to pull one out. So I buy them in bulk when they go on sale, and I've got them. Gosh, $7.50 I think is as low as I've gotten them thus far. So when they're that price, I stock up on a ton of them.
Yeah, they actually are on sale at Chewy.
Okay, I might have to make a purchase later. But I think because they're so soft, like they really are that like super soft teddy bear material, and he loves them. And so, you know, he'll have that toy for usually 4 weeks or more before there ever gets a hole in it, as long as nobody else grabs it, right? But he's so funny because like he'll come running down the stairs and he's like, wait, I left my baby upstairs, and then he'll run upstairs and get it. It's like Linus and his blankie. But it's not like an OCD thing. Like he doesn't have to have it. He'll leave it. He'll drop it whenever you tell him to. But it's, you know, it is like when we're relaxing inside, it's his source of comfort.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're on sale on Chewy for $8, the jumbo one. So good price.
All right.
Has anybody used the like the Benabones or any of those plasticky bones for hard chewers?
You know, I know somebody who uses them for Malinois. It's funny. She says her dogs make shanks out of them. So they're all going to like have a prison raid in the middle of the night because they all have like points and they turn into.
That's my concern with them. And you're supposed to like sand them down.
Right.
But the other thing too is like even with regular bones for chewing, like my dogs have like cut their, you know, broke teeth on it, right?
Well, and this is where I use for my puppy right now. I'm using, but I only use them while they're young and when they're teething. So I do use antlers for my puppy, and I only use these. And again, I only use them while they're young because after a while they won't play with them. The other thing I use a lot are the Himalayan chews. But I only use those a lot when they're puppies, when they're young. When they're adults, I don't, because I don't want them breaking their teeth.
Yeah.
When their puppies are teething, so it helps with moving those sharp puppy teeth out of there. And I give them raw bones too. So my adult dogs don't get antlers, and they don't get anything really hard because I don't want them to break their teeth. But when they're puppies, like my young dog, and the beagle, I do give him, but he's not a super aggressive chewer. So, but still, the antlers are great when they're young, but as they get older, I've had people whose dogs broke their canines and all that stuff. So you have to be very mindful about that. So, and so again, this goes back to to playing. Playing is a really big part of you and your dog's relationship. So toys are part of it, right? So you can have those things and put rules around it. And you definitely want to have rules around toys. And then also when dogs play together too, you want to make sure there's rules around that. The other thing too is for puppies or when the dogs are young, I rotate my dog's toys. So they're always new. I take them away. There's a box that's covered. And then I I put some away and then they get new ones. So that's why they last. And it's always like new because they don't get to play with them all the time. Because if they have them always available, sometimes they decide they're not so fun or they're not as interesting. So rotating the toys is really, really helpful. Putting them away and bringing out new ones and things like that. So right now, like my little beagle can get a little guardy with toys around the other dogs, not people around the other dogs. So I'm very mindful because it's hard to. She's gotten better. We've been working on it, but she can be a little bit guardy about about toys and stuff like that. So I'm also very careful when you have two dogs that are playing with a toy. You want to be mindful about what's happening with that and make sure you don't let it get out of control where somebody's going to get upset or testy about it, and there's usually going to be a discussion about the toy. So you want to be really thoughtful about that when you have two dogs playing with a toy. Like these long toys are great, but they can become overstimulated on those. So you got to be very mindful about how long you let them play and what type of play that's going to look like. And like you said, like I said, you don't let them play in the house. In the house, it's calming, it's relaxing time. And when you're out and about, again, there should be some, I know it sounds like it's kind of like a buzzkill, but I like to put structure around the toys, and I want to be part of that, of that interaction and help develop that relationship with my puppy or with my dogs that we get to play. Because Tango will bring a toy and put it in your lap or whatever, and but I usually make them sit or down or something. There's always something that's attached to it. And I have had dogs, and you guys that if you ask them to sit or down, they don't want to play with me. It's like, if you're going to have all those rules, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Chacha was one of those.
What's crazy cool about that though is when you dial into the dog and you make it easier where they're quick, then they're like, you've got a pretty good, hey, you've got a pretty good idea. You know what I mean? And they're dialed in, then they're like, you're really fun. I love that moment when that happens, where they're like, you kind of are cool. What are we doing? Right? I love that. But
Yep, and it helps. And that's what I mean with toys. Like, this was about toys and some of the favorite stuff that I think most of us already know. But if you got some new ideas or whatever, it's great. But one of the things is, whatever toys should be, you should have toys that they can work on their own, but also toys where they're going to play with you, right? That you will interact with them or throw it or whatever. Because that's play is really an important part of building a relationship and bonding with your dog. And so now, especially those of you who have new dogs, Lisa and I have new dogs, you definitely want to incorporate more of that, which is a lot more work for for us, because we have to make sure that we have that play where Joanne and with our older dogs, we already have that relationship. We get to play, we throw the ball, we have that interaction. So yeah, he didn't. Yeah, and you still got to supervise. I really worry. I've seen so many, and those of you, I know Joyce that's watching, the vet techs, they've seen dogs come in for different things from toys and stuff like that. So you always got to be careful about what you're giving them, and just don't just give them a toy and walk away and think that it's all good, because sometimes
You should give that shepherd a toy and leave him alone.
The shepherd is he's out of his mind, because I want to play with you, but he does like the interaction part for sure. Anyway, so I hope you found this very helpful and just something to think about. And like I said, like I use a lot of callings and stuff like that for self-reinforcement. Yeah, crazy stuff. I know. Well, Joyce, my beagle, has decided she wants to eat rocks. So we're
fun.
Yeah, I'm like, why? I don't know. But
so one other thing, does anybody ever use any animal type of skins with their toys? Right?
Yeah,
and it's big in the
whirlpool.
Yeah.
I have, but my dogs have destroyed those.
Right. Yeah, mine too. Like, but you don't like, I would use it for training purposes, right? As a motivator for something or what have you. And
yeah. Well, for Tango would be great because he likes animals. But no, I haven't because they've torn him apart. So
Sure.
annoying. Anyway,
Rabbit's not one to pick. Then you need something that was different.
300 marbles.
Wow. The best was a Frenchie that ate about 300 marbles.
Gotta love a
Oh.
Frenchie.
300 marbles. How the hell they get a Frenchie's not that big?
That's
Wow.
a lot. In one sitting?
Well, I wonder if it's over time. That's maybe why they didn't notice.
Uh-huh.
Probably thought it was a bag of treats.
Oh my God.
These are Frenchie.
Wow. Wow. And they don't chew, they swallow.
Yeah. No kidding. Oh my God. Anyway. All right, guys. Well, I hope you found this helpful. And shopping, here we go, Allison. You got that right. So just be more mindful that about what you're buying with your dogs and kind of see what they like. Buy a little bit and see what they enjoy, because only the dog can dictate what he likes and what he enjoys. Because some dogs are going to be all over those brain games, and other dogs are going to be like, nope, not that much fun for me. Too hard. I just want you to throw the ball. So
Right.
yeah, so it's a very interesting what works for that, what works for you. So always be thoughtful about what works for your dog. So
Yeah, and like don't be afraid to like do a little trade with your friends, right? Friends that you
Right.
know and trust. That's always a fun one where you're like, do you have anything that you're not using right now so I can see if my dog likes it? Or if somebody brings that toy to class and your dog's like, what is that?
yeah, right.
That's how I've got some of the best toys. I found this. It was for puppies. What did they call it? Flopsy Mopsy or something? Have you guys seen that?
Mm-mm.
It's like it's you can't, you could do it for smaller dogs too, I guess, but let me see if I can find it.
Stop it.
It's like the best.
It's an actual dog toy, because when I look it up, it's saying Peter Rabbit.
No, it's not. Flopsy Mopsy is a book, I think. It's called something. Mopsy. Gosh, I'll have to find it. Anyway, it's like this puppy toy that has all these little hanging pieces to it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Like
it's almost
yellow
like
and blue and
yeah, it's almost like yes, they're puppy toys, and it's almost like a little where the babies lay on their backs type of thing with the dangling. Is that what you're
Yes.
talking about? Mhm.
yeah, but it's like a tugger toy, right? Like it's soft and anyway.
Right.
Interesting.
So anyway, my dog was like, what is that thing? Like, I was like, what is that? And it was, when I looked at it, it was a little too flimsy for my dog, but I tried to find something really similar, that I could use because my dog seemed to like all the hanging pieces.
Mhm.
Right. And
Oh,
so
yeah,
and,
the giggle balls
and
are
that's a
fun.
really good idea of doing an exchange with some of your friends. 'Cause some of the dogs some of the toys you might have bring for your dogs don't like them, and why waste them if your
Mhm.
dog's not going to play with them, right? Just move them on and get something else, or do an exchange of some sort. I think that's a great idea.
In classes, especially puppy classes, I have a bag of toys that I don't usually have. Like I swap them out and then I'll change them, whatever. And I'll bring them to class and I'm like, here, we're going to try to engage your dog with a toy and let's try something different. Cause they'll bring, something that the dog sees all the time. And the dog's like, that's stupid. I'm in class. Who cares? Right. And then you give them something new. They're like, oh, this is interesting. And it was very fascinating. They had a beagle and the beagle was like interested in sniffing the toys, not necessarily playing with them because they smell different. Right. But even still, that's stimulation. So,
yeah. All right, all. Thank you for tuning in. Boy, that was quick. That was a quick. We could talk about toys forever. Anyway, hope you had a great holiday, and we'll see you all next week. Good night.
Thanks, everybody.
good night.